10 things that are banned in Russia. Memes. We all know how funny and catchy internet memes can be. Get a funny picture and make it funnier by adding a witty caption and you have yourself a meme. It turns out the Russian government isn't so keen on them. In fact, all memes which poke fun at political figures and leadership have been banned. That means if you live in Russia, there are no more memes of shirtless Putin riding bears, crackers, or woodpeckers. Have no fear, Russia. The rest of the world will continue turning out Putin-based memes. Western food and soap. Following the Russian annexation of Crimea and the ongoing conflict in the Ukraine, Western nations imposed a number of strict sanctions on Russian goods and officials. Not to be outdone, Russia responded with its own sanctions. Included in the list were foods and soaps from Western nations. News clips show bulldozers crushing mountains of cheese and piles of fruit and vegetables. Not finished, authorities then slapped a ban on Western soap and detergent because it was deemed toxic and a threat to consumer health. Sex ed. That's right, in Russia there is absolutely no sexual education in schools. While many governments believe sex ed gives kids and young adults vital answers, Russian officials believe that talk of STDs, condoms, and pregnancy will corrupt the children. Instead, the government has said that kids should learn about the issues by reading the classic works of Tolstoy and Chekhov. Who knew the answers to teenage pregnancy and rising HIV infection rates could be found in the pages of War and Peace? Swearing. In 2014, Russia declared a war on four-letter words in books, film, music, theater, and online sites. Why? It turns out that Vladimir Putin wants to maintain the purity of the Russian language and get back to traditional values. Most experts also feel that it is a way to ban Western words from Russian culture. Shows and music with swearing will not receive general distribution, and books containing naughty words will have a warning label on the outside. If you swear on TV or in the theater, expect a fine of anywhere from $70 to $1,400. Well, The conflict in Ukraine. Okay, there isn't necessarily a ban on discussing the world hotspot, but it is now illegal to talk about any Russian soldiers that have been killed there. You see, Russia has long denied being involved in the conflict, but when significant numbers of Russian soldiers started to die and funerals were being held all over the country, people started to talk. The government stepped in and decreed that all talk of dead soldiers was banned because military casualties were now deemed a state secret. Apparently, the logic behind this ban is that if you don't talk about it, it never happened? Lingerie. With so much stuff already banned in Russia, it appears as if the government is coming into the bedroom. Lingerie with less than 6% cotton has been banned, which means pretty much that all lingerie is banned. Given 80% of lingerie sold in Russia is foreign-made, many believe it is an attempt to keep out the likes of Victoria's Secret and push the far less sexy and desirable Russian brands. The government says a key reason is that lingerie has too much synthetic material and is unhealthy for the body. We bet there's more than a few disgruntled Russian men who disagree. Being emo. If you wear black clothing, black makeup, and listen to alternative music, chances are that you are breaking the law in Russia. That's because since 2008, being emo is banned. The Russian government, seeing emo culture as a dangerous teen trend, decided to just plain ban it. Because we all know that when adults tell teenagers they can't do something, that they always listen, right? Duh. Like out-of-touch parents meeting at the local PTA, the Russian government showed just how out of touch it was with reality when it lumped in emo kids with skinheads and white supremacists. It conjures an image of Putin hanging out the Kremlin window, shaking his fists and telling those darn teenagers to keep their rock and roll music down! Gay propaganda. If you've noticed one thing about the Russian government and its bans, it's that a lot of it is done with the name of innocent children. So, when the government recently introduced new laws targeting homosexuals, it came as no surprise that much of it was done under the guise of protecting the kids. Anything that could be construed as gay propaganda is banned in Russia and can get you a fine and time in jail. Parades, pamphlets, and even flags are seen as methods of spreading a message the government just doesn't want around. Certain drivers. Crossing the line into the world of the absurd is the Russian ban on giving driver's licenses to anyone who identifies as transsexual or transgender. According to the Kremlin, these sexual orientations are diseases, which can have adverse effects on one's ability to operate a car. Not finished, anyone diagnosed with a fetish or tendency for exhibitionism or voyeurism is deemed unfit for the roads. Just how these conditions affect someone's ability to operate an automobile are unclear. However, many argue that it is simply a way for the government to keep tabs on undesirable people people while limiting their ability to travel too far. Yoga. Yes, in parts of Russia, the popular activity of yoga has been banned. Why? Apparently, local officials feel that yoga promotes the spread of new religious cults and movements. In their minds, as people are improving their flexibility and lowering stress, they are also providing a foundation for extremism and plots to overthrow the government. Why people gathering to undertake an activity linked to Hinduism and Buddhism should cause concern is beyond us. Maybe they plan to strike when we are most relaxed. Oh, Russia. Here's a couple of videos that we think you might like, and don't forget to click the subscribe button. Hey, thanks!